There are a lot of little things about the farming skill in this game that I wish I had known far, far sooner than I ended up learning them. They would have saved me a lot of time and a lot of hassle, a lot of headache. So I figured I would actually compile them here and share them with the internet. This video is, as the title says, aimed at beginners. These are things that most of us mid to late game players or end game players like I am would know. The beginners would probably not, right? So here's the first and, in my opinion, the most important thing that you need to know about the farming skill. When you actually harvest your crops, I can't believe I didn't know this for as long as I did. When you actually harvest your crops, they fill up your inventory, right? Like, there's just a whole bunch of stuff there. If you use your harvested crops on a tool leprechaun, they'll exchange all of them for banknotes. I mean, it seems pretty simple, but I didn't know that for the first, 50 or 60 levels, I think, when I was still actively training the skill. And if I had known that, it would have saved me so much time, so much hassle, right? Yeah, that right there is just the big thing. That's the big one. Instead of going to bank every time you harvest, you just have some notes in your inventory, right? Pretty handy. Here's the next thing that I've learned. For the plants that you can grow that you can harvest from and the plant doesn't disappear, like in this case cactus, but this also applies to bushes or the calquat tree, interestingly enough, you don't actually have to harvest everything on it to clear the plant from the farming space. All you have to do is use a spade on it, and you're given this prompt. You sure you want to dig this up? So for bushes in particular, but also for potato cactus or for the calquat tree, you don't have to waste time plucking a bunch of stuff that you're just going to drop. You can literally just do this and skip that. It's really handy. I'm not going to do that here because I like my cactus spines. They're worth good money, but that's beside the point. Okay. Thing number 3. Allotments, hops, and herbs. If you harvest them normally, you can see the rate at which you're pulling them out. You just kind of gauge it based on the XP drops up here, right? Well, here's something fun that I discovered, or at least noticed. If you spam click for a few seconds... No, not talk to Alan. If you spam click for a few seconds, look at the rate at which I harvest things. It's like twice as fast-ish, something like that. I'm honestly not entirely certain why this happens. I think it might be some kind of tick manipulation, but I wouldn't pretend to understand what's going on there. But the important part is that, and this is especially valuable for herb runs because you want to spend as little time doing that as possible, you can harvest this stuff super fast if you do this. So, like I said, just spam click on the plant for a second or two when you start to harvest it. You'll know it's worked when your character does a little, when the animation for the digging stuff up goes faster, or in the case of herbs, the reach in and pluck. Really handy little thing. Again, would have saved a lot of time in the long run, right? Pretty neat. Oh, right, I actually grabbed watermelon seeds so I could replant this. How about that? The third thing on my list that I really wish I had known about sooner is this item right here, the bottomless compost bucket. It's really expensive. It's been, as of late, 800 or 900k-ish, right? But it is so worth it. If you can afford to buy one of these, you'll use half as much compost, and you'll save so many inventory spaces on dealing with compost and empty buckets and all that stuff. Just as soon as you're able to get one of these, get it, right? It's so incredibly useful. Now, I have a couple of places to teleport to. The other thing that, again, I really wish I had known about sooner, and I'm kind of sad the game didn't actually tell me about, is the fact that for the normal trees that you can grow, not fruit trees, just the normal trees, you don't have to chop the tree down to clear it. This is something that it blows my mind that I didn't know about this for so long, but you don't have to chop the tree down. You can just pay the nearby farmer 200 gold. And there it goes. Poof, gone. For the longest time, I was manually chopping down all of my trees because I did not know you could do that. And then, of course, you'd have that unfortunate time where you're chopping the tree, you look away because it's an AFK thing to do, you look back and the tree is already regrown, right? Just a total waste of time. Pretty much all of these things I'm showing you here are time savers, right? That's all they really are. They're all time savers, except for one, and that one is the last one that I want to show you. This is a very hidden or niche or obscure thing, but farming is generally known as an incredibly profitable skill, mostly for herbs, but there's actually a couple of hops plants that you can grow that are very, very valuable. And they're available at a very, very low level too, so you can start farming for jute fiber, or in this case, nilly and hops, at like levels 14 and 17 or something. And yes, by the way, that spam click thing to harvest faster does work on hops, like I said. Also works on herbs. I forget the exact level that you can grow these at. What is it? Hops. Jute at 13. Nilly and hops at 16. Yeah, so you can start growing those at incredibly low levels. And you might be surprised as a beginner, but look at this. The nilly and hops are worth 1.3k each. It's a lot of money. The reason that these two crops are incredibly valuable is because they're used for other stuff. Jute fiber is used to make drift nets, which is a training method for hunter and fishing and crafting and stuff like that. And nilly and hops are the payment that you give to a nearby farmer to watch over your mahogany trees when you grow those, right? So they're worth a lot. There's a high demand for it, and not a lot of people know that you can grow these for really good money. And at a really, really low level too. Right? It's all pretty cool stuff. Anyway, that is actually all that I wanted to show. I don't even have seeds to replant this. I gotta go do an actual real farm run now. I have lots to do. I think all of my crops, all of my trees that I regularly plant have grown, except for this poor thing, this whiteberry bush. But, yeah. I hope that this helps with your farming journey. Like I've said many times, I really wish I had known this stuff sooner. Some of these things I didn't even learn until, gosh, like 2 or 3 years after I maxed the skill. And it's a little funny to me to think of it that way. But I digress. That doesn't really matter. I hope you learned something, and that you have a good day, and thanks for listening to me babble about the farming skill. See how much XP I have? Where's my pet? Where Tangleroot? Ooh, free seeds.